Okay, Barney, I'm going to ask you first a very simple question. How often do you think about death?
Ooh, okay.
How often do you guys think about death?
So I'm really fascinated on your perspective on death and life. We're asking here today, people, how often do you think about death? Hi, I'm here with
Andy.
Andy. Nice to meet you. So today we're asking people, how often do you think about death?
I'd say like on a weekly or like bi-weekly basis.
Weekly or bi-weekly? Cool. Is this something that would trigger these thoughts, or?
Is there something like, where does it end? You know, like it's not the case of, it's like when you run out of life, what then happens?
Yeah,
would
sure.
be like, what's the next step?
So
That's
what normally, if you're going about your life normally, like and you think about what normally triggers these thoughts? I'm just curious. Can be anything, or
Is what I'm doing worth it?
yeah, that's a
Like,
that's
and
a
also
great
like,
point. Yeah,
is what I'm doing creating a legacy? Because that's the concern, is you don't want to be forgotten.
absolutely.
So you're trying to create a legacy, but then is what you're currently doing going to do that for you?
Yeah, that's a really interesting perspective to have.
Ooh, okay. Probably
Would you say a lot?
handful of times
handful of
a
times,
week
Okay, interesting.
in its various guises. Either because maybe I should caveat this by saying I'm a paramedic, so it's often
It's often, okay.
relevant. So maybe I'm going to represent like the proportion of society who are going to be thinking about it a bit more often, because it's made to confront it more frequently. But yeah, a few times a week.
Okay, interesting. But other than at work, do you think about it in your own sort of, let's say, personal time, your own individual time, or?
Yeah, I guess
Yeah.
in a sense,
Yeah.
if you're including thinking about the fact of dying, what comes after, what you want to do before you die, what constitutes a life well lived. I guess in a way that's all about death. So
Yes.
a lot.
A lot. Fantastic. Yeah.
How often do you guys think about death?
Quite often. Not like, I don't think about it like I'm scared of it, or like, yeah, like what, a couple of times a week maybe.
I never think about it.
Really?
No, never, ever.
Oh wow! So
Doesn't
we
like
just reminded you
yeah.
about it now. You,
Yeah.
you forgot that death existed.
Yeah.
You thought we just lived forever.
I don't think about my own death, like, ever.
Okay.
But I would maybe think about, like, my granny or something. Do you know what I mean?
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
More or less every day.
Every day.
Yeah.
Well, how come you think about it every single day?
It's a natural part of life. You know, it's normal when I go to the butcher's, when I go to the supermarket, or when we hear terrible news such as what recently happened
Yeah.
in Plymouth.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. How do you reflect on it on a daily basis? In a positive way, or is it something that you are afraid of?
Definitely afraid of it, but try to rationalize it. Again, it's a natural part of life, and yeah.
How often do you guys think about death?
All the time?
All the time.
Yeah, most of the time.
Okay.
I mean, death is kind of an important time at your life, because
Yes.
you never know when it happens, to be honest.
Yes.
Could be any day, but it also could be your loved ones who die, and you will never know when.
Yeah.
But pretty much,
So do you think about it all the time as well? Pretty much?
not all the time,
Not all the
but from time to time, I'd say.
Okay. Okay.
I mostly think about it in the night
Yeah.
when, like, my mind's gone clear and everything like that. Because, like, it makes me think. I'm trying to avoid it in life because I don't like death and people dying from families and families. But in the end, all I know is that we're all going to die and that we can't run away from it. So you shouldn't really be scared of death, to be honest.
So do you have a certain acceptance of death then when you have these thoughts? Do you get to that sort of zone, or is it a more of an existential crisis of sorts when you think about death, or?
Not really.
Not really. You've sort of a stoic acceptance of death.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm here with
Buruji Dasa.
Buruji Dasa,
It means winner of love.
winner of love.
Yeah, the servant of winner of love. That's a
Okay.
devotee of Krishna, or a
Okay.
son of Krishna. Yeah, son of Krishna.
Awesome.
5,000 years ago. It's mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita.
We're asking here today, people. How often do you think about death?
Well, very often actually, because this process, it's called Vedic knowledge, Krishna consciousness, is all based on this first teaching that we're mortal. And actually the body is mortal, but we're eternal. So the aim of human life to realize one's true eternal nature and understand that this is not the place where we're supposed to be, this temporary nature, material existence. So our whole practice is based on this principle, that to realize this essential principle of death, that we're all subjected to death, that we should do something about it.
Are you afraid of death?
I'm not afraid of death.
Why so?
No, not afraid of death. What concerns me is what I might miss out on before dying, and the effect of my dying would have on those close to me, and missing out on finding out what happens next, to put it broadly.
Yes.
But death itself, no. I'm not a religious guy, so any idea of hell or a life hereafter, that doesn't bother me.
I guess on a similar theme, would you say you're afraid of death?
No, not at all. Like, think about it this way: you weren't alive for millions of years, billions of years.
Yeah.
You're here for 70 or 80 if you're lucky.
Yeah.
If you're not, a lot less. So those years you've got here, you've got to make the most of it. So I don't think you should be scared of the billions of years that are going to come after.
Sure.
Well, naturally, everyone is afraid of them. That's why we're putting on dress when it's cold. That's why we're trying to go to doctor when there's some disease.
Sure.
Everyone is afraid of dying.
Sure.
Everyone, at least, this is the basic principle of life, that we know of our mortality.
Yeah.
And either we choose the transcendental path, try to practice some spiritual life, or we just go with the pure hedonism.
Sure.
But both are conditioned by this idea of death.
Yeah.
You know, those who are enjoying in a hedonistic way, enjoying sense gratification to the max, they're also doing it because they know death is coming, so let me enjoy as much as possible. So for both, death is a deciding factor in life.
I feel like, obviously, animalistically, you're afraid day to day, but I feel as if, given what you've said so far, you are at peace with the concept, right? Given the fact that to you, that is not the end, because the spirit transcends that. Would that be accurate?
Yes.
Am I picking up?
And you can take it from a different angle.
Yeah.
Because the spirit is eternal, that's why death is unnatural for us. If we were just the body, if we were just the chemicals, death would not be a problem. Because at the time of death, nothing happens with the chemicals of the body. They stay the same.
Fascinating.
See, the matter remains. The fact that we're afraid of dying means that we are eternal.
And what do you guys think happens after we die, after we eventually pass on?
We were talking about
Yeah,
this
we
the
were
other
talking
day.
about this the other day. Yeah, I think that I was reading something about like near-death experiences, and like someone wrote on like a forum that like the nurse asked him like how like did he see anything whenever he was out, and he said no, and she was like, yeah, that's what everyone says, like there was no near-death experience or anything. So I think you have one life and then you die, and nothing
I don't
after.
know, I kind of disagree with that though, because we've watched, like, there's a new series on Netflix. It's called like, what's it called? I don't know, it's something about like near-death experiences, and a lot of people can like come back and say that like they remember, like say they went into like surgery or something, and then they come back and say like they can remember like exact details about like what happened to them in surgery that they couldn't remember, because on the like system their brain had like no activity.
Oh, wow.
And like they were fully dead, but they just like said all this stuff that like would be impossible for them to know, and no one told them about. So
Oh,
I
wow.
don't know, I kind of think that
So you think their soul left their body and they can sort of...
I feel like your soul's like still there, but I don't know about whether it comes back into like someone else, like another life, but I don't know. It's hard to think about.
It gets really deep.
What do you think happens after you die?
Great question. Materialistically, you just decompose and go into the earth and regenerate that way. Philosophically and kind of as a like the spirit side, I don't know.
But you sound like the fact that your tone suggests that you're open-minded, that perhaps spiritually speaking, death does not necessarily mean the end.
From the previous question, yes, but you kind of go, you don't know what you were before you were alive.
Yeah.
So therefore, you just probably won't exist.
Yeah.
And nobody knows. So therefore, there's no harm in thinking that something might come out of it.
Yeah.
But if there isn't, then there's no harm in investing in that, whether there is or isn't.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't believe in like gods or stuff like that. So
Does that make you afraid of death? That it's over, that's it, or does it actually make you kind of?
I mean, being like, let's say if all the people would be immortal, or like life wouldn't really have a point, because it's eternal. Like, and if everything lasted, it'd be kind of weird, and I guess there would be too much conflict like between people and stuff.
So I take it you don't believe in heaven or the afterlife?
Yeah, I don't.
You don't at all? Okay.
I do.
Wait, you do?
Yeah, because before when I was young, I used to always be scared of it. That's why I avoid it, or like just don't watch anything with people dying. But now that I've grown up and realized that when I die, I'm going to God and He's going to let my heart be at peace. It don't scare me no more. It's just like.
But how does that give you meaning in life? The fact that you know that there is a heaven after, does it sort of guide you? Is that what it is?
Yeah, it guides me in life.
Set of rules and things to.
Set of rules and what to listen to, and just be aware.
So both of you have very different perspectives on this.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you guys argue about this a lot, or
nah?
Not so. Okay.
We stay neutral.
What do you think happens after you die?
No idea. In my head, probably nothing. But that nothingness is in itself scary.
But can it not also be something that is what gives life meaning?
Possibly.
No, do you not look at it like that?
Not particularly.
But you don't think the concept of life is a finite?
Nothing disappears. Even in the material world, the matter, there's a law of preservation of energy, right? Nothing disappears. Why would consciousness all of a sudden disappear by some magic? This is a belief, actually.
So on a lighter note, what would be your last meal if you were to die?
There's so many to choose from.
We're big foodies, so we are. So.
Oh, okay. So it's a deep question.
I probably would have said Indian food, but then I've had Indian food last night and in the market there, so maybe.
You don't have to worry about the morning after, if you have Indian food.
Yeah, let's go Indian food. Curry.
Okay.
I would say Mexican, like burrito, or like just big burrito.
Perfect. There we go. Mexican and Indian food.
Okay.
If you were put in that position, like you only have one meal to choose.
Okay. Can I choose the context as well?
Yes, absolutely.
I was talking to a friend very recently along these exact lines, and the one we came up with is, you see, this is also dodging the question a bit, but just let me have it.
Okay, sure.
You see wildlife photographers, when they want to get as close as possible to photographing really dangerous animals like lions.
Yeah.
So you get a cage and put the cage close to a water source or the recently maimed carcass of a zebra or something.
Yes.
You can sit in the cage and take photographs. I don't really mind what I eat, but I'd like to be in that cage surrounded by lions. And I could just drink it in and admire the scenery. And maybe I could specify that the meal I want to eat, this is cheating, it's just a large quantity of raw steak. But then I'm not going to eat it. I'm just going to feed it to the lions.
You're going to feed it to the lions,
and,
okay. So that's sort of your let's not say fantasy, but that's sort of the optimal way that you die. You'd see yourself off, let's
I haven't
say.
answered your question at all, but I've used it to provide myself with an amazing final experience.
I'm going to conclude and say you're just a big fan of raw steak.
Yeah, go on then.
Go on.
Sure. I'll say that. If it gets me in that cage, then fine.
Last meal.
Yeah, last meal.
I would have prasadam. Prasadam is a food offered to Krishna. This is what we do. The Hare Krishna is also known as a kitchen religion.
Yeah.
Because we cook.
Is it tasty?
Oh, very tasty.
Is it meat or
vegetables? It's vegetarian, and we offer whatever we cook to Krishna. So when we cook, we don't cook for ourselves.
Yeah.
We cook for God, for Krishna. So the offering is saturated with love for Krishna.